Welcome back to Sika Strength and welcome back to the Sika Stand new show, pushed out again to Tuesday because of someone squatting in weight, and just wanted to put that video up. Today's new show is brought to you by the Sika Strength app. Why is the Sika Strength app something you should be using? Because it uses our coaching logic on all of the great programs. Loads of new programs on the app. You adjust your load based on your inputs. It's got the coach bot and a lot of other great features. Now, starting off this new show, some guy squatted 300 kilos in his little sheddy poodles last weekend. Do you know this guy?
I met this fella before. He didn't talk to me for ages. This is a great squat. You can't really say it's a great squat, but this is a phenomenal squat. Long time coming, Garth.
I'm going to say it's a great squat. I must have watched it a million times.
This road, what's it like at the end of the road to 300?
I feel terrible still, and I have done for the last 4 weeks at least. So it's... Immediately after this, the post-competition blues hit aggressively, more aggressive than they've hit on anything I've ever done before. Usually like the day after a big comp, you'll be kind of like, oh, I'm kind of down today. But this hit an hour and a half after this. About 2 hours later, I was making very sad. I was gone. You know?
Very, very good looking squat.
There it is, 300 kilos. Now, currently going on at the moment, we have got the Qatar Cup is on in Doha, and we've got a lot of big names operating there. We've got Miso Hassona, who is a big boy at the moment. He's looking thick.
Miso's looking yacked.
We've got Emil from Kyrgyzstan, lovely country. Emil is a great lifter.
I think people are coming into this competition in very, very good shape.
Yeah, I think it's the last hurrah for a lot of people before the Olympics.
Yeah, you do tend to see a number of competitions in the last year or 18 months have been very disappointing. Both in terms of people showing up and not lifting, but also people maybe not showing up in their best shape, which is understandable. It's obviously the Olympics coming up next year. They're not going to be peaked a year early, but people are looking particularly peaked for this one.
So... we've got Mihaela Valentina from Romania. She's kind of the current star of Romanian weightlifting at the moment, with some hang snatches at 90. These are all on Luzarjan Barbell's Instagram stories. We've got other notable names like Giulia Mistrandino is there. She looks to be in pretty good shape as well. Haven't seen a lot of it. Return of Loredana Toma, Romania's other major star, of course. And she's looking to be in very good shape as well. It's a very nice snatching. And we haven't seen her compete in a while either, like many other big superstars. Miso with some pulls.
You have to assume this is a massive one for Miso. Home country, really looking to perform well.
Yeah, Miso surely. Nino's returning. I'm pretty sure Nino has to do something at this competition. I think he has to put up a total that not just weigh in. So we haven't seen Nino since... is it last year or the year before? I can't even remember now, where we had the competition with Karlas Nazar, where that big back and forth and the clean and jerks. And we just haven't really seen Nino since then. And we've seen him weigh in a lot of competitions. No one's really sure what's going on, why he has been in great shape or kind of coming back from shape. There was rumours of an injury, but theories abound.
Weightlifting needs Nino to do a competition. We need to see what Nino's at the moment.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So Miso here at 175 in the training hall, and Miso is a 102. Obviously, it's for the Olympic category, and he seems to be, always kind of tipping around in good shape since the Olympics, but hasn't really peaked particularly since then. Of course, we've also got Xinjiang, who is there as well. So China are there in full force with their male and female team, and...
one thing that's just not right is people wearing those odd shoes. It's coming back into fashion. It used to be a thing where people would have the luminous pink and luminous yellow Nike 2s. That hasn't been a thing for years. And now suddenly it's all coming back in again.
Xinjiang can get away with it if anyone's going to get away with it. So we've got people like Tan Tao is here, so who had surgery recently, but it's unclear whether he'll compete. But he seems to be squatting 240 for a pause squat there. We've got Li Huanhua. We've got a little 150 kilo snatch from him. Li Dayin is there as well. So all the big names really in the current roster for Chinese superstar weightlifting. And Lee Dayin is full looking.
He's looking what you might call cheeked up. He's looking thick.
Double cheeked up. He, again, probably, outstripping everyone on the male team in terms of performance currently. She's young, has been going similar to Nino, very weird performances in the last year plus. So again, she's young, definitely needs to put in some work on this. So for the good of weightlifting, would they ever do some lifts on the competition?
For God's sake, lads, would you ever just go and compete?
So yeah, so some more from Luzajun Barbell here, just some pulls, customary kind of training hall footage from the Chinese weightlifting team, heavy pulls, heavy jerk dips. Not a lot of snatching, clean and jerking.
Excessive amount of accessories.
She's young, doesn't look to be in his final form here. So this 160 clean and jerk. I know it's a very light training hall lift, but it doesn't look like 190 kilo power clean and camp clean and jerk.
And look, everybody knows the Olympics is coming up. So in 7 months' time, they're going to be lifting for the ultimate prize, basically. But you still don't want to be in terrible shape now.
Yeah,
you don't want to be. You don't want too much of a mountain to have to climb.
Yeah, it's different for them, I suppose. I suppose for Xizhang, getting back into shape isn't that hard, I suppose. If he's able, so if the back injury is the main thing catching him, at least he knows he can make the comeback. If he needs to.
Yeah,
it's kind of a skill. And then a lot of stories on Squat Jerk Journalist Instagram as well. Very similar there of the lifters, a little bit different angles. So, of course, as well, we've also got Ratmat from Indonesia, who is the world record holder in the clean and jerk and looks to be in great shape as well. So it'll be very interesting to see what he does, especially with Xi Young being present and most likely going to lift that competition platform. But doesn't look like to be in world record shape in the clean and jerk from Xi Young's point of view.
No, Ramat does look to be in very, very peaked form. He looks fast. He looks strong. He looks to be in insane shape.
Yes, he is made of penis skin.
He is everywhere. He is 0% body fat.
Yeah, there's a video of him front squatting here. Now, this lighting is also...
this lighting's insane.
Extra beneficial.
This lighting is top shop dressing room lighting.
Yeah, this is if you're gone for your sexy photo shoot after your 12-week cut at the PT studio. This is... And he deserves it. He's a good shape.
Absolutely.
So, also kind of coming back, but not in top shape, we have Lasha, who is... Here he is seen climbing a mountain in Georgia. Georgia, if anyone's been there, is incredibly mountainous, full of mountains.
Mountains.
And Lasha's average heart rate was 160 kilos when they were climbing to the top.
160 beats per minute is excessively high for a little hike.
Well, all jokes aside, Lasha did talk about having those heart problems, so maybe I have a strong feeling, I've been calling this for a while. I think this is going to be his last Olympics, and then I hope he just retires.
I hope he sails off into the sunset, gets one of those IWF blazers. He shows up at competitions to take pictures with the athletes.
I hope he doesn't. I hope he just forgets about it all and just remains mysterious in Georgia and just has a nice time, spends time with his kids, loses at least 60, 70 kilos, hopefully, and enjoys his life.
I hope Dr. Georgie takes a little Shazam in his career and just ends up competing at the CrossFit Games or something.
The strongest physio games. So you've Lasha doing some sets at 170 here and 180. Obviously, nothing.
Yeah.
Paltry weights for Lasha in the snatch. So it's not that he's going to walk into the Olympic gold medal, but, unless something drastic happens, he's kind of guaranteed, as much as you can be guaranteed anything in elite sport, the medal.
You obviously said it earlier about getting back in shape being so much easier. Lasha's in the quite unique position where him just getting back to old numbers is pretty much guaranteed a gold.
Yeah.
He pretty much guarantees himself to outperform everyone, which in Olympic sports is pretty unheard of.
Next, we've got a blast from the past from vintage weightlifting. I felt this definitely deserved a peek. This is Nadeszha from Russia. She was a 75 kilo weightlifter, and here's a 180 front squat and jerk. The jerk is outrageous.
Yeah, everything about this is so good. That elbow lockout is probably the best elbow lockout you'll ever see.
Yeah, she always had a ridiculous lockout. Elite female lifters generally do anyway. They have a lot of room in those kind of elbow capsule, but the power and the speed and the precision and the stability and the strength of this 180 is incredible.
I feel like we say it every week on the new show, or we end up saying it in some video every week, but Russia developed split jerkers like nobody else.
Mm-hmm.
The nation of Russia has made more professional weightlifters have great jerks than anyone else ever has.
China are very close, and a lot of their best split jerkers, when they do split jerk, are incredible.
Yeah.
The funny thing about this is not assisted, but she's using the female bar incredibly well. The amount of whip on this is such a skill as well to hit that timing perfectly in the split jerk position.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll actually see the bar is nearly too whippy for there. At the bottom of that dip, the bar nearly has whipped out of position before she starts to drive up.
Yeah, it is. You need a very short whip for the female jerk. It's even at very light weights. If you're looking at like 90 kilos plus, a shorter dip is generally more beneficial for the female bar because of the amount of oscillations it goes through compared to the men's bar at relative similar weights. So it's in your own interest as female weightlifters generally to dip a bit shorter when you get to some of those heavier weights. Is that right? It's the way the bar is, and there might be arguments for making a bigger bar, but certainly it's the bar you're using, so you need to be sharp with it. Just a little bit of lead Dayin there in pretty normal shape, working up to a 220 front squat.
These are lovely looking front squats, aren't they?
Yeah, there's a great side view on some of these where he's really driving his knees forward.
Yeah.
What I really love about the front squat is that it's like, if you get people who just kind of have shit back squats, just to put it nicely, or just to put it in any other way, is the front squat forces you and it shows you that no matter your build, you can have a good squat if you work for it, if you work into the positions. Like, you shouldn't have a nice front squat, but you've a lovely 200 kilo front squat, and you aren't even pushing the front squat that hard, and you're doing that. You were working it, but you weren't, and you're not exactly, the most like stereotypically well built for squatting.
Yeah. I think you really can't hide from the front squat.
Yes.
It really is. It's like a litmus test. It's like the canary in the coal mine. If things are going to shit, they'll go to shit on a heavy front squat.
Yes. Zach is on a kind of a crusade at the moment, talking about, you can't make excuses of yourself. He's got a great deep squat, and you saw a lot of that during the summer, and he's training the jiu-jitsu guy. Who's the other giraffe guy? Oh my God, what's his name? Oh, the really tall guy. Holy crap. Yeah. Cannot think of his name. So he's training with him. He's 6'6", I think, and Zach put up a really nice video of him doing back squats. So it is no excuses for your squat. Speaking of Russian weightlifting, we've Artem Oklov training here with I'm pretty sure it's like a 160 hang snatch. It looks to be a 50 on the inside. Obviously 30 kilos below his best hang snatch. Dismal state of Russian weightlifting at the moment, unfortunately. The translation is, but there was still hope, or there might be more. I don't know, is this in a reference to the weight or the current state of Russian weightlifting? Just
looking at that video, it's the old training hall. Nobody seems to be training. There's no noise in the background.
Yeah.
It's just, there's one comment on the video, and it's some guy tagging us in the video.
Oh, man.
It's
Ludwig.
It's difficult. It's like looking at the lion from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe with his mane shaved off.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's hopefully the Russian weightlifting scene can make a comeback if things change in the future, but it's this does not look good currently. Now here's our boy Rakuei again. He's nearly earning himself a section in the new show.
He really is, yeah.
He's got a beautiful, clean and 170 kilo squat jerk. He called it a push jerk, but it's obviously a squat jerk, just a translation error, I assume. That t-shirt looks cool. As you know, I have a penchant for cool shirts, and that is that's a lovely squat jerk.
Nah, it's really, really nice. The funny thing, so obviously we talked about Japanese technique quite a bit when we were in Japan. It was something we brought up in the videos, but just how forward their hips are all the time. Mm-hmm. In that stereotypical technique or that technical model they use. It is interesting. We always comment on his training hall and how lovely it is, but look at those blocks. There isn't a millimeter of movement when he drops 170 kilos from overhead on them.
Yeah, those blocks, this looks like an AI green screen thing. Those blocks are so steady.
It actually doesn't look right.
There's no movement whatsoever. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Testament to the build of those blocks. Sticking with big front squats, we've got Mr. Nazar, Mr. Karlas. I wonder, I assume he might be competing in Doha. He is front squatting between 230, 240 or 250. We can't quite see because one of the plates is blacked out, but we've got this for an attempted triple. Really smashed it for a double. Not quite sure what the weight is though.
The first squat on this, the first of the three squats, is so nice. So fast. Obviously, you're tripling or attempting to triple 250 kilos. Things might fall down a small bit during it, but the first one here is just so nice, so powerful.
What's that gif with Jay-Z about?
I don't know.
I see it everywhere. Yeah, so this see, we've seen him squat very heavy in the past, so he could easily be 250 for a double. And, you know, if he's looking for a clean jerk in 220s in competition, this is right around where you'd want that front squat to be at a, not at a minimum, but certainly at a comfortable range. You know, if you could do 270 for a double, is that better? Obviously. But, you know, if you were looking for a workable set, if you're aiming for those 220s, if you can rep 250 or so, you know, you're in like, that's a place as a coach where you'd be pretty happy with.
It's interesting. I can't remember which competition was Europeans last year where Tarokity interviewed him afterwards and he was talking about his excess in strength and needing to kind of focus more on technique, or as the technique gets better, he won't have to rely on his strength as much. It's good to see he's still staying incredibly strong.
Yes, so I wouldn't say he has an excess of strength, like I was saying there, you know, like, but he has really unusual strength in the positions, like moving a really heavy barbell, moving it fast at the right points. You know, he's got definitely clearly very, very strong, but I wouldn't say he's like a Martine. Yeah. He's a great example. Toshiki's another example of people who have enormous squats compared to him. Like, he is unusually positionally strong strength, you know, where he's just manhandling barbells.
I'd say he's dogged.
Yeah, he's pulling and dragging on the weights. Now, in the Lee Sang, formerly known as the Artem Matchbox section of the new show, we just have Lee Sang doing some curls, and it just was too novel not to include, to be honest. No one knows what Lee is doing. He's just done the Korean Nationals a few weeks ago, and he said finishing the afternoon with a very weak 2 and 3. Whoa, that's so hard. Nobody knows what that really meant.
Nobody knows. He says 223 as well afterwards in a hashtag, so maybe he's talking about the NATO round 556.
Yeah, sorry.
That's immediately what came to mind. Look, Lee is doing the most useful thing possible in bodybuilding, and that's a heap of reps on an empty barbell for bicep curls. Nothing's more useful than that.
The shoes he's wearing look like he's a matron nurse somewhere, maybe taking care of elderly people. There, he's kind of safety scrub shoes.
Yeah.
He's looking fuller than usual.
He's looking massive.
Yeah, is he bulking up a bit after the Korean Nationals?
How is he that light a body weight? We've seen him in person. He looks humongous. How can he possibly be 67 kilos?
Listen,
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Now, on the exact opposite end of the spectrum, we have Tom Haviland doing a 320 kilo 2-second pause Zercher squat. 320 kilos.
I'm not talking not because there's nothing to say, but because I'm genuinely speechless.
He also followed this up with a 190 kilo seal roll with a pause at the top for 10 seconds. And then he zooms around to look in the camera or look inside the log. And there is a snake in there. So
no.
That's sneaky
no.
snakes.
No.
Living in Australia.
Is it in Australia he is?
I'm pretty sure Tom Haviland is Australian. I'm almost certain of it.
Everything in Australia wants to murder you.
That is the point. It's just 320 kilo pause Zercher squat. Like, you know, we don't love Zercher squats, but we do, as we always say, if you want to push something because you want to do that lift, then that is, you know, green light to go for it. And 320 kilos.
And it's just so excessively heavy as well.
It's not like the bounce really helps you on the Zercher squat. It's not like you can just kind of whip your way out of it. You're not getting a lot of, but it obviously makes it still significantly harder, of course. 320 kilos.
How much must that hurt his elbows?
I think he's got elbows made of titanium.
Yes.
Unobtainium.
Or
Adamantium.
8mm sheet steel, like that massive log press thing he has on the ground.
Yeah, how is that log weighing 190 kilos? That's obnoxious. How'd you warm up for that one? Like, you need other mini logs. 320, Tom. Doesn't like to show his face on the internet.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a thing he said. It actually responded to one of those comments. Someone's going, just curious, why don't you show your face?
Yeah.
And he basically said, I'll regret a lot of things, but having my face on the internet too much, or when I die, won't be one of those.
That's an absolutely great move.
Yeah, he said,
and it's too late for us now.
Oh, we're all over it.
Yeah.
But I've heard to maintain boundaries for this world, and it's worked out really well so far. I'd love to know what Tom does for a living, just to infer on his boundaries. Next, we've got Andrew Kyle Tang with a very pretty 275 kilo high bar squat.
Yeah, obviously Andrew's been on the news show before for his insanely impressive powerlifting numbers, but this is a simply gorgeous squat.
Yeah, we've seen him do lots of heavy front squats. I think we see them to 250 or 260.
Yeah.
And we've got this really, that's a high bar as well.
Oh, yeah. No, that's
on C2 or 3, like.
Yeah. No, that is so nice.
A couple more reps in the tank on that one, I'd say, as well.
I wonder what his heaviest ever high bar is.
Yeah, I can't imagine it's not this anyway. It's certainly not this 275.
No, it's considerably more than that. It's absolutely gorgeous squat.
Yeah, absolutely. Kyle is he's a dense boy.
Kyle has the jaw and neck and upper back of a rugby player.
In the same way when we in Darrage last week, in Darrage Singh, who was a John Wick final, I feel like Andrew could be in there as a henchman somewhere in a John Wick.
Or a Bond villain.
Maybe a Bond villain,
yes. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I expect you to die, Mr. Bond.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those spinal break attacks as well. That's a special move.
Yeah.
Like one hand on the back of the collar, one hand on the belt.
Yes.
And just...
Yeah, I could see Andrew falling in for that.
Yeah.
Now, here we have Big Boy Bake, also known as Joshua Baker. He is attempting a 705 pound bench press. Missed it. So he comes back a couple of minutes later and then makes 700 pounds. So he drops 2.5 kilos and makes it.
He's incredibly close to making 320 kilos.
Yeah, but like 375. It's crazy what a few kilos make, isn't it?
Yeah.
The smoke's the 317.5 to 700 pound or bench press.
Yeah. I don't think there's much pap going on there either.
Oh, you think you got a little bit of
bit
assistance?
Of post-activation potentiation. No, like that 320, the main reason I was saying he's so close to making it is it's very different if he just misses the rep and he's nowhere near it. And then you come back 6 minutes later and you're not really that fatigued. Like you have some eccentric and some like holding it there. But in this case, he nearly makes the rep. Like he has 98% of the work done. And then he goes for a second rep 6 minutes later and makes it.
There must be barely double-digit people who can bench press 600 pounds plus raw, let alone 700 pounds or more. Like it has to be, is it less than 20 people? Surely?
Surely.
Not even 30 people, you'd have to imagine.
The other crazy thing, I was just thinking about it at the weekend with your squat.
My squat?
When you think about the amount of people who are in shape to do that on that day.
Yes.
You could conceivably be the only person in shape to high bar back squat 300 kilos, or in this case, bench press 300 and whatever kilos, you know. Because most people who are, so say if there's 10 people alive right now who are doing those kinds of weights, or kind of training those kinds of weights right now, it's very unlikely they're peaked on that same day.
Well, everyone who could probably do it could probably fit in my shed with me, to be fair. That would be unbelievable. Imagine everyone in my shed training.
That'd be a lot of thickness.
Next, we've got BJ Stone, one of the most athletic strongmen we've seen, doing 250 kilos for a triple A on the front squat. Clean grip, fingertippy clean.
It doesn't even make sense.
Well, I'll tell you what does make sense there. He said he's coming for 320 kilos before the year's end.
Stop it. This also, he says, on my deload.
yes.
What does the fucking load look like?
So this is 320 kilos. I don't know what our heaviest front squat we've seen from BJ is, but he's a 250 for a triple, and his deload is the deloading. Like, what the fuck is...
I can't wait. I hope he smashes 320.
If you're doing 320, you'd have to be doubling 300 on the front squat, I'd imagine. You know,
at least, yeah. Or 305 maybe.
Probably, yeah. So it's repping 300 kilos with a clean grip is insane.
Yeah.
So hopefully BJ can make that 320.
BJ is another example of somebody who's probably a little bit taller and making his squats work very, very well.
Yeah, there's no short heavyweight strongman.
No.
Open class strongman, I should say. Now we've got C3 Muscle or Chris Kraft with 265 kilo pause back squat for a set of 5.
The thing that really strikes me with this video is how long a set of 5 pause takes.
And these are super legit pauses.
Yeah. These are not stop squats or there's no like little tiny pause. These are legit pauses. But it's so much time to be squatting for.
Oh my God, the set takes so long.
I feel like, so I started the RTA 2.0 last week and there's 12s on the first day of that. I feel like my set of 12 is over before the 5x5 pause is done.
No, well, you took so long in between sets that he definitely, he definitely finished them before you got your next set in, to be fair.
Look, 12 minutes in between sets of squats isn't too much.
And complaining about DOMs for a week after is probably a bit much, to be honest. These C3 is notoriously good at squatting, but this is crazy.
That's very, very good.
Yeah, respected depth is right. He is absolutely bearing these. So got Converse on with plates under. I wonder why he doesn't wear weightlifting shoes or similar, but it doesn't seem to be holding him back.
No, absolutely not.
Even the last rep is just as honest when it comes to the pause.
Yeah.
Sometimes people do pause squats and you're like, look, it's definitely not a bounce. It's definitely not a regular squat. But calling it a pause squat is a bit generous sometimes.
Yes.
I wouldn't call anyone out in it or anything, but sometimes they're more like stop squat. You're like, stop.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you want to be very clear that it's a pause,
Yes.
Sometimes, I'm not calling out any powerlifters in particular, but sometimes they'll do like a pause squat, but it'll be at like 350 kilos to parallel,
Yeah.
and it won't really be a pause, but it's so heavy and it's so impressive. You're kind of like,
yeah, you just leave it off.
Yeah, what are you going to say here, really?
And you know the really important thing there, Gerf, is you don't leave a stupid comment on their Instagram.
No. Well, I have been doing that under my aliases.
That's what the new show is all about, really, is positivity towards athletes and not putting... Sometimes we call people out for their comments, but generally just spreading that message of stop talking smack on people's Instagrams.
Yeah, there's no one's getting called out this week because it just can't. It's just, if you did it every week, it'd be too far. Now we got Mason, who you might have seen squat 400 kilos last week, and he's back in his sleeves, and he's just doing a little bit of squatting, 300 kilos for a set of 4, recovering from his 4th-degree burns from the powerlifting competition, from the fireworks behind him, and lovely squatter.
No, absolutely lovely. Obviously, Mason has been on the news show a number of times in the last few weeks. I thought he would be taking a deload. To be honest, after I saw the 400 kilos last week, I assumed we wouldn't be seeing him this week.
Well, that is a deload.
Yes.
It's 100 kilos less there.
It's 75. How crazy is it that that's a 75% of 1 rep max effort and it's 300 kilos?
Yeah, this is a deload.
Yeah.
What do you mean you think he's deloading? He is deloading.
It just sounds wrong, a deload at 300 kilos.
Next, we've got the evolution of Tiger Woods. We can see him in 2001, baby-faced. He's got his, as Dara assures me, his classic red shirt on, or slightly wine-coloured there. 2012, and then a 2023 photo, and he is looking notably hench.
Yeah, he's looking in great shape, yeah. Obviously, Tiger's had a massive amount of injury woes in the last couple of years, going through multiple operations, mainly back issues. So I assume he's hitting the S&C quite hard. Or, sorry, I know he's hitting the S&C work quite hard. There's a lot of talk on this about PED use and stuff like that. And obviously that's always in the conversation when we talk about elite sports. But Tiger is one of the greatest golfers to have ever lived. As far as I'm aware, the 2nd or 3rd highest earning athlete in history.
Yeah, so the gear question is like, look, elite athletes, most elite athletes are of a large majority of them when they're competitive use some PDs in one form or another. The plethora of scandals and positive drug tests, isn't something that needs to be spoken about currently. We're not going to waste time going through all of them because you need a lot longer video. But it does come into the question. So, like, it's not that like, I get what people are saying in these comments, you know, there's loads of those comments there, and it's on the Golf Digest Instagram, and there's a lot of people saying PEDs and stuff, you know, and I think they're probably saying it they're guessing for the wrong reason, if I could phrase it that way.
Yeah.
So it's not that a man of his age couldn't get into that shape. It's just, if you add in the variables, he's a professional athlete. It's in his own interest and inherently important for him to be in good shape. He is, without a doubt, has enough resources to access the best quality stuff there is from the best from the most prolific doctors, or the most personalized doctors, you know, and it'd be unlikely. Why would he do it without the assistance, you know, is the thing.
Yeah, it's just very unlikely something like that you get to that stage without some help.
Yes.
Like, his net worth at the moment, estimated by a Google search, is $1.1 billion.
1.1 billion.
Yeah.
1.1
for
billion.
a simple swing of a golf club.
You could afford a bit of TRT peptides and growth hormone for that. You'd
sure
manage.
You could.
You would manage. Now, speaking of manage, we've got a couple of people tagged us in this one and shared it with us. It is Ethan Evans of the Rams. He's a punter, the kicking position in American football, and he is squatting 245 kilos here. No, sorry, not 245. 265 kilos. Interesting to see a low bar to parallel for an athlete.
Yeah, I think the thing, so obviously punters in the American football are on like special teams.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the time the punter really isn't, like, he has a very, very, very well defined role. And in those cases you see some crazy amounts of like hypertrophy or crazy amounts of strength focus or crazy amounts, because they're training as a professional athlete, but in their everyday remit, they're really not, their athleticism isn't really called into play. So like in this case, you have somebody who's all the best coaches around him, all the best facilities around him. He's not going out there getting smashed on the offensive line every single weekend. He just comes out onto the field, takes the punt, and then maybe he stays on the field in a relatively protected position for a short while and then comes off the field again, you know. It's like those long snappers in the NFL. A lot of the time you see they're absolutely massive. And it's for that reason they're able to like pick something like this, really, really specialize in it. And they're not sacrificing their athleticism as they go throughout the season.
So I think the first thing we talk about is why Jeff Bezos is spotting him, you know, on the back squat. No, so like we've talked a lot about the half squats in recent weeks for athletes. A lot of times the rugby players with throwers, you know, something we've talked about a lot over the years even, is that when it comes to pure power and you're looking at those throwers and the rugby players, there is benefits for having some heavier weights. And in terms of power production, once you're hitting a reasonable range of motion, you're getting a lot of the benefit. And then comes into the questions of, can you squat lower? Can you squat lower at a meaningful weight? Looking at this, if you just put a player position on the paper, the sport they were playing, the squat they were doing, and you know, you didn't tell me who it was, you would kind of have to look at this squat and go, okay, he probably doesn't need to be doing a squat this heavy to let's say a depth that we'd use in, I don't know, powerlifting. Like, it's not the deepest squat, you know. So if you were looking at a player like that, you'd probably be looking at, as much of a cliche as it sounded, as almost, yeah, as weird as it sounds saying, you probably would reduce the weight and go for a deeper squat, because he doesn't necessarily need, or doesn't necessarily have to squat the heaviest weights possible to a meaningful depth like that, you know. But this, again, when you look at this exact squat then, though, it doesn't look to be that hard for him. It's moving pretty fast. He's not really losing or gaining much by doing one style or the other for his particular position, you know.
No, and that's the thing. People are saying, oh, this isn't a squat, or this is a half squat, or whatever. Like, he's a professional athlete earning millions every year. It really doesn't make a difference for him in his position. Mm-hmm. It'd be completely different if an Olympic weightlifter was squatting like that. They're probably holding themselves back a small bit, going that low bar to parallel route. In the same way where doing a lot of bench pressing for an Olympic weightlifter wouldn't be the best route. Some strict pressing might be better for them. But I think a lot of the negative comments here are just people who don't have any understanding.
Yeah, just be nicer to the athletes, you know. So we're talking about every week. Like, there's probably a couple of things we change. Like, if we were coaching him, would you change up the style of squat? Yeah. Would you, not even necessarily deeper, but you would certainly look for some slightly different positions. It's a little bit very exposed in terms of the angle. It's very, very wide. Probably in his position for his limb lengths, you'd get him into a pair of weightlifting shoes at a minimum. You might even necessarily change the depth itself, but you'd be looking for a slightly different back angle, maybe a little bit more consistent back angle.
Yeah, it's that torso inclining forward is the issue, and that small amount of not even flexion of the back, but he's going through quite a considerable range there with his mid spine that you probably wouldn't want. But it's certainly not, the depth certainly isn't an issue.
No, it's not the major concern for him, you know. So, yeah, it's not that he has some butt wink. Would you be concerned about it? It's kind of, do we need to load his back that much up if he's in season, if he's still kicking? And you're kind of wondering, how much is this squat going to benefit us at this time for this particular player? Do we really need to be keeping him at kind of these heavier weights and need to be assessing, or like, okay, probably right now mightn't be the best time for this if this is videoed recently, for example. Next, we've got Hugh Jacked Man.
Hey.
Dara wanted to say that joke, but I stole it.
You ruined it for me.
Doing some trap bar deadlifts. He's becoming Wolverine again.
Do we have a weight on these trap bar deadlifts?
It's like 120 kilos or something. It doesn't matter. No, they're metal plates. Maybe
I'd say it's 150-ish.
No,
is there 4 plates there?
But they're...
Oh, the outside's a 10.
That's like a 5 or a 10 or something.
Yeah, probably 150.
160.
Trap bars are usually 25 or 30 kilos.
There's a scene in Wolverine Origins, I think, where he's sitting in a room smoking a cigar, and he looks like what every man at one point in their life or another wanted to look like.
Yes.
Do you want to see the photo?
Yes, I do, Garth.
There's a few times where he's been in ridiculous shape. This particular photo, though,
yeah,
it's not nothing.
No, one thing with Hugh Jackman as well is he actually tends to carry quite a bit of muscle mass.
Oh, he does.
You know, you see a lot of actors in like the Hollywood thing where they get incredibly lean and then they'll have like a pretty good pump, but they're probably not holding that much muscle mass. Like they'll have a lot of vasodilators and stuff, which really makes them look very vascular, and they're incredibly lean. But Hugh definitely holds on to quite a lot of mass.
Yes, he's got some pair of ditties in him.
My God, yeah. He looks like he could bench press 140 kilos at any point.
I don't think he could, though. But he's got the Peckmeisters on him. Like, he goes after it, you know?
Yeah.
He is just a guy trying to play his best in a movie role.
And look, let's be honest. Everybody wants to look like that.
Yeah, no one would be like, oh, no, I'd hate to look like that if you didn't have to do anything. Now, speaking of people who are also could play Wolverine, is a real-life Wolverine, is Ross Edgley.
Yeah.
Doing some sprints on one of those true form runners. Ross is cutting down to 84 kilos at the moment, and he is absolutely a machine. He puts his body to use.
Yeah, absolutely. So he's obviously done some of the most impressive physical feats we've seen on this side of the pond, really, if you're being honest. Certainly the most impressive swimming feats or feats in the water. But just this sprinting makes me feel things. Having done sprints on a true form runner and having felt how difficult that is, it's a very, very difficult stride. The running machine and the momentum of the track makes it feel like it's getting away from you all the time. And what I'd consider, or what I'd compare it to, is sprinting down a hill and kind of losing control of yourself. It's very, very easy for you to start sprinting this quickly on a true form runner and very quickly lose control. And Ross looks fully in control here.
You have to promise me by when you're peaked for the squat and run, you have to look like that, or you're not allowed to do it.
I pinky promise.
You're not allowed to do the squat and run.
I will not look like that.
Thanks for everyone who watched the news show, and thanks for everyone, as I say every week, who tags us in the news show, everything. We look through every single one of them. I have to cut out a load of them because we have to obviously keep the news show a reasonable length of time, 35 to 40 minutes. And we are incredibly appreciative. It's so kind, it's so nice to think, it's so novel that people are involved in it and want us to see stuff. So thank you for everyone. So see every single one of those, make sure to look at everyone, because if someone took the time to tag us in something, we make sure to look at it. Today's news show, as we said, is brought to you by the Sika Strength app. Check it out on iOS or Android. lots of people running the horse program, lots of people running the strict press program, lots of people running weightlifting programs, lots of people running bench press programs as well. So there is a penchant to look like Ross or huge jack men. Huge jacked men. Thanks, guys.